Okay, today's lesson we're going to learn the A chord and the D chord and then how to change between both of them. So let's get started. Your first finger for the A chord is going to be on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Second finger, or the middle finger for the A chord, is going to be on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, right next to the first finger. Next we have the 3rd finger is going to be on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. So they all have to fit within the 2nd fret. Then we're going to strum every single string one at a time. Now you notice my thumb, generally speaking for the A chord, and many other chords also, your thumb, depending on the size of your hand, will be somewhere between the 1st and the 2nd fret. There's not a tried and true exact spot because everyone's hand's a little bit different, but experiment with what feels natural to you. I'm going to also turn my guitar here so you can see I have my hand, there's a little bit of space right here. Now you might have to move that a little closer, but generally speaking, if you move the palm of the hand until it touches, it's going to feel really strained. So you should have a little bit of space right there. One other note, generally speaking, I will mute the 6th string. Now that string is in the chord, but due to that voicing, it kind of makes the bottom end of the chord a little muddy. So here's it with the 6th string. Here's without the 6th string. I'm going to mute it with my thumb. That's without. Here's with again. If you notice, it kind of just has it just kind of muddies up the bottom end. I like the voicing better without this 6th string. One of two things you can do there. You can either just not hit the string, which is rather hard as far as not plucking the string, or you can put your thumb here and just slightly, you're not going to press down with it, but you can slightly brush against the 6th string until it doesn't sound. And that way you can go ahead and hit the 6th string and the 6th string is not going to sound. Some other things to watch out for. Make sure you're pressing down hard enough. Not, you'll kind of get this buzzy sound out of the strings. Here's an example. The other thing that could be going wrong is the backs of your fingers. Now that's literally the back of your finger here getting in the way of the 1st string. Usually it's this 3rd finger that messes that up because these don't affect one another because you're holding down at the same fret. But a lot of time, so what you would need to do is make sure that your 3rd finger is up on its tip enough that it doesn't get in the way. So those are the two most common things when your chord doesn't sound correct. You're either not pressing down hard enough or the backs of one of your fingers is touching the string behind it. So that's the A chord. Now for the D chord. We're going to actually, in the process of learning the D chord, learn how to switch from the A to the D chord. So what I'm going to do is keep everything still in place. And when I'm going to the D chord, I'm going to lift the 1st and the 2nd fingers up. I'm going to slide the 3rd finger forward to the 3rd fret 2nd string. So this one never comes off the string. Then I'm going to put my 1st finger down on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and the 2nd finger down on the 1st string, 2nd fret. Again, I'm going to mute the 6th string with my thumb. In this particular chord, you do not want the 6th string to sound at all. It is not in the chord. Here's how this will sound, one at a time. Here's all together. Again, a lot of the times the culprit, if your chord's not sounding right, it's usually the back of this 3rd finger to where you're bending or it's touching the 1st string. One other thing to note, make sure this knuckle here, this happens a lot for some people. They'll want to hyperextend this knuckle here, or this joint, to where it's bending inward. You want this to bend right here. You want a slight bend so that your finger can be on the tip. The other thing, mess around with is a very tight fit here between the 1st and the 3rd string. You want to make sure you have to move around on the tip of the finger to get the most, you know, in the center to where it's not touching either string. Because sometimes you will touch the third string with the top of this finger. Usually that's what's happening with the third finger. First and second finger, one of two things will usually happen with this. They'll either be too far back in the frets, or they're just not pressing down hard enough. The thing that you want to do, don't spread your fingers out. What makes this the easiest if you take both the tips of these fingers and try to push them right behind the second fret. So the first and second finger need to be right up to the second fret. It makes less work for you. Again, this is how it looks from a different angle. Notice my thumb's kind of around, but again, between the first and the second fret. There's your D chord. So just to recap, the thing that ties the A and the D chord together is this third finger. There's the A chord. When I move, I'm gonna keep this third finger down, then move the other first and second fingers. Not the other, but the first and second fingers. So you notice, third finger. Does not move off that string. That will allow you to switch very, very quickly. Okay, so now when you're practicing switching between A and D, you're just going to do 4 strums on the A, then switch to the D. That's where you need to start out. So A, 2, 3, 4, then the D. Quick note, when you're practicing this should be applied to all chords. When you're first starting out for a new chord, take your time and go very slow. You want to make sure that you do not take a break or a pause switching from your A to your D. So that means you do not, or I repeat, do not want to do this. Oh, I gotta switch. If you find yourself doing that, you need to slow down. And if you need to slow down to snail speed, which means going even this slow, then you need to go that slow if that's what it takes. Because if you go too fast, what you're going to teach yourself to do is literally go fast. Oh, I got to take a break. Give me time to switch. And what will happen is you'll teach yourself to stop every time you need to switch between a chord. Not just the A and the D chord. It'll happen on all your chords. And I've seen that. I've had students come in before where no one ever told them about that, or I don't know, you know. And they've practiced that way for, you know, a year or two, and they have literally taught themselves to stop every time they need to switch to another chord. Okay, so that should cover you for the A and the D chord. Again, you can see more lessons at randysolar.com, and I'll see you next time.